So you guys may be wondering why my angle is a little different, and that's because my best little bud right here, Ebler, his name's Igor, but one of my friends started calling him Ebler, and I don't know, it's just kind of stuck since then, you know? But anyway, so I thought you guys should be graced with his absolute beatimus presence, and there he goes. And there he goes. Isn't that just the story? Okay, so you guys have been calling me Nakama and everything, like we're best buds. And you guys didn't tell me to grab my comfort hoodie, tell me that my eyes were going to be stinging for this next section. Okay, so I am being dramatic because I did not cry, and I feel like I have to keep updating you guys and telling you guys when I cry because you guys kept telling me to grab my tissues, and I haven't needed them yet. However, I have gotten close many a times. I thought because of the next volume said Baroque, I think it's Baroque works at the top, I thought chapters 100 and 101 were part of the next saga, and it was not. So my apologies. So my notes, I go chapter by chapter, act by act. There's only 2 for this one, so I read chapters 100 and 101, and I thought, I think she's a Master Chief. Anyway, Chief Tashigi, I thought her fight with Zoro was funny, and that was basically it. Oh, no, it wasn't actually. My jaw dropped when I saw this man called the Dragon, and we only see him for a couple seconds. And so I'm sitting here wondering, who the heck is this man? Why is he so ominous and cool looking? And let me know what you guys think, but I have thought about at the end of each One Piece video that I do, just adding in the new characters into my tier ranking of all the characters, and maybe just adding them over time. But I don't know what suits it better, if I should just go saga by saga, maybe. I think that might work. Anyway, the way my jaw dropped was crazy. First of all, what do you mean the world is waiting for our answer? And I think that was between Dragon and the smoker guy. No, I'm lying. It was Dragon, but who was he saying that to? Or who was saying that to him? I don't know, I was very confused. Then we find out that the entrance to the Grand Line is a mountain. And I was like, what do you mean it's a mountain? I was not expecting that at all. And then, it gets explained to us. And then you see a giant panel full of some wild Grand Line monsters. And I thought they looked crazy. I really, really loved that panel. And I just thought it was so unique and eye-catching. They're Neptunians, so maybe they're different. And I said, just the way, from my notes, I said, just the way to get to the Grand Line is chaotic enough that I can't imagine, where exactly this is going to go. And so we go to Reverse Mountain, which is chapters 102 through 105. Arc. I said act. The Reverse Mountain arc. I was so confused. I felt like everything was going on and it was so chaotic. So we meet this guy who kind of looks like a flower, and his name is Crocus. And he is living inside of a whale that I thought maybe wasn't a whale, but is a whale. But anyway, the whale comes up and it's in our path. Let's say our path. But it's in the path of our crew. And this whale's got like a metal ship inside of it somehow. And we are introduced to some whale poachers. They call themselves whalers, I guess, in whatever translation I'm reading. We meet Mystery Man, Mr. Nine, and Mystery Woman, Miss Wednesday. And I do like their designs. I think they're interesting, as well as Crocus. I love Oda's like older man characters. I think that they just look so kind in a way. And I will say I was just going left and right and left and right and left and right. I was so confused with everything that was happening. And as I'm reading, I'm really trying to kind of predict what's going to happen next. And I couldn't have predicted any of this. Crocus is trying to protect Laboon. And our crew at the time that they first kind of met him thought that he was trying to kill Laboon from the inside, which would have been extremely devious. But no, he was trying to save him from the inside because he was just so damaged and injured from a point I will get to next, he was so damaged and injured that Crocus, who's a veterinarian of sorts, could not help him. Well, he's a doctor, I think, but I guess he's a veterinarian also. So we find out Laboon's story. We find out what's all happening. And I feel like sometimes, obviously, we know that One Piece is a week-by-week thing. And so Oda doesn't have time for all of his side stories and all of his characters all the time. I did not cry, like I said, but I definitely would have cried if I would have known this character for longer, or the story would have been a little longer. I don't know, but I feel like there's a beauty in the shortness of the stories at the same time. So anyway, I'm rambling. But Laboon came to the Grand Line from West Blue with his pirate crew as a little baby whale. And he was so cute. And so he was there, and his crew was there, and they were there for a while the crew rested up, and then the crew said, okay, it's going to be too dangerous for him or something. We'll come back for Laboon. And so Crocus, who I think was in charge of the lighthouse thing, he is charged with taking care of Laboon. And he had been taking care of Laboon for 50 years while Laboon is waiting for his crew to come back. And Crocus told Laboon, hey, your crew isn't coming back. They fled the Grand Line. They're like, they're cowards. They're probably dead, something like that. And so Laboon didn't want to believe that his crew was never coming back. So he started ramming his head into the Grand Line. And so we see this picture of Laboon where he's got all these scars on his head. And he's just crying and wailing. He's crying out for his crew. And then there's this panel, my favorite panel, maybe my favorite panel right now because it's just so real, but it is a panel of Crocus. And he says, I'm afraid reality is even crueler than fiction. When I tell you guys, it's something about the side stories with the animals that just hit me in the heart the most. And I love animals. I love people too. So, seeing, obviously Nami's story, and it was sad and everything, and it, destroyed her life from a kid. But I don't know. It's just something about like abandonment of animals that really gets to me. That's, very, very sad. And you see we have Chow Chow, but his owner didn't leave him by choice. He had passed away. And then here we have Laboon, where his owners abandoned him on purpose. And it's so sad. It was so sad. It really gets me in the feels, And so Luffy comes out of nowhere and freaking grabs his mast of the Gomeri, I think it's called, and stabs the whale in the head. And I'm like, Luffy, what are you doing? And so, I'm just reading on. And Luffy gave Laboon the promise that he'll be back again as his rival, that their fight isn't over. He's like, you see how strong I am, right? Well, I'll be back later, and I'll be back as your rival. And I thought that was so sweet. And there is something to Luffy where he is dumb and smart at the same time. And maybe people will be like, oh, well, this, he was just dumb, whatever. I think to some degree, Luffy, well, he obviously knows about the value of friendship, and he values all of his friendships so deeply that they are more than friends. They're nakama. There's not another word for it, I hear in English. And so he knew that this whale would not be happy with another crew. Like, it could never, like this crew could never be his original crew. But he could still have something to look forward to and be like, oh, well, this is our rival. And so Luffy draws on his skull with the straw hat on the whale's face, Laboon's face, and says, this is our contract, so you can't hit your head on the red line anymore, because then our contract will be broken, because it'll be all washed away. Yeah, it was so sweet. It was so sweet. It such a cute, like, mini story that Oda put in just to break our freaking hearts, right? And then put them back together. It's crazy. Also, Igor is sleeping right next to me. I'll show you guys a picture of him. He's like falling asleep. Oh my gosh. Okay, anyway, sorry. Then we find out that the Raftel Island is the last island, and that last island on the Grand Line, the most difficult one to get to, and that only one crew has made it that far, and that was, the one who made it to the Grand Line, and that's possibly where the One Piece is, which just made me think that maybe the One Piece is metaphorical, actually. I think it's very possibly metaphorical, I'm not going to lie. I would not be surprised that Oda would do that to us. Anyway, Captain Roger, his crew is the only one to have made it. And we meet Mr. 13 and Mrs. Friday, the Unluckies. They're an otter and a seagull, I think. Oh, a vulture. And then we see this panel that has Crocus standing arms crossed, looking out, saying, "Could that be the bunch of pirates we've been waiting for all this time? That boy has a strange air about him. Roger." What do you mean, Roger? Do you mean to tell me that you used to be a part of Roger's crew? That you were the doctor on Roger's crew? Because that's what that's telling me. Anyway, I thought that was very interesting. And, you know, I feel like Oda is just so good at making us stay interested and keeping us asking questions, which I love. So that is the end of the Reverse Mountain arc. Then we go straight into Cactus Island arc, which is chapters 106 to 114. And we meet Igarapoy, maybe? The mayor of Whiskey Peak, or so we think. I was very suspicious of this celebratory town, and, you know, like I said, I was having all these theories going through my head. At first, I thought maybe they would be trapped on the island in a sort of, like, let's say, in a sort of, like, Percy Jackson sort of way. Only because, like, that's the first thing I thought of for some reason, was when they go to this hotel and then they're trapped there because they're having so much fun, and then they waste all of their lives there. And so I thought they would go to this island and they would forget about what they had to do, and they would just party all the time. But at the same time, obviously that doesn't make sense, because if that is the home island of Miss Wednesday and Mr. 9, I think it was, then, you know, well, I'm losing my train of thought. Then, you know, why would they need the whale? Because they need the whale for food. So I thought that this island was meant to distract them and keep them from going to the Grand Line, by celebrating and partying every day, every night, and that sort of thing. And I know I mentioned Percy Jackson. I know that this came first, before Percy Jackson, so I'm not saying that Oda tried to take anything from anyone else. So Iragupgapoy, we find out he's Mr. 8. His identity changes so many times, so we find out who he is, you know. And so we're thinking, oh, well, he's a part of the Baroque works. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I'm having a stroke. And then we have Miss Monday, who we thought was the sister. There's so many things happening. And she is a beefy woman who is a part of the Baroque works, which we find out is a secret society full of, like, criminal bounty hunters. And then I thought the detailing of this island was crazy, because you look at it and from the outside you think, oh, well, this is just like a giant cactus island, just a cactus rock island. No, because each one of those little prickly things on the cactus is tombstones, but like cross tombstones for all of the pirates that they've killed. Are you kidding me? How does one person think of something like that? Like, Oda never ceases to amaze me with the things that he thinks about and things that he talks about. And then we kind of get little tidbits of Zoro's swords, and as he's finding out, we're finding out, which I do love about this story, is a lot of the times we're finding out things at the same time as the crew is finding out things. And maybe that's to help us kind of, you know, feel part of the crew, because we're all in this together, you know? And so we see that Zoro finds out that one of his swords says that a legendary sword should only cut when his master tells it to cut. That's something new that we find out. And he said, this one's a problem child. So that will probably cause us some issues in the future. And just like a little detail that I'm sure will be important later on. And Oda really showcases Zoro's strength by using this very, very strong woman who is one of the Baroque Works crew. and she's very, very strong, intensely strong. Like, we can see she can crack the earth with her hand. And here he is grabbing her by the face. Like, do you think you're strong? Like, you wanna battle this out right now? You wanna see who's stronger? And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I knew Zoro was a master swordsman, but I didn't know he was extremely strong. Like, that was not something that I was thinking about. I was just thinking, oh, he's a talented swordsman. And so I really like that Oda's dropping in his little pieces of, you know, cool stuff. That's Igor. That's what he has to say. So then we meet Karoo. Also love Karoo. I love all these animals that we're meeting these arcs. Igarappa, I feel like, or Igarapo, whatever. The guy. I feel like I should have known that he would have had shotgun barrels, pistol barrels, whatever, in his curls by now with the things that Oda creates. I feel like I should have known, you know? I feel like a silly little goose for not even thinking of that as a possibility. Then we meet Mr. Five and Miss Valentine, and I thought that they were very cool. We find out about another fruit, the Boom Boom fruit, and that Yoragappa is actually Itagami, the commander of the Royal Guard of the Kingdom of Alabasta, which is the next arc, the Alabasta arc, which I am very much looking forward to. And Miss Wednesday is actually the princess, Nefeltari Vivi. Oda's really killing me with these names right now. Mr. Five is Human Dynamite, the Boom Boom fruit, and he picks his nose and flicks the things at people, and I got a little nauseous because that's one of the things I also do not do well with, is the bats in the cave. Not necessarily the snot, but the bats. I was not handling that very well, I must say. So then we find out the structure of the Baroque works. Oh my gosh, none of my cats ever lay on the second one. What a sweetheart. He's also the only one who doesn't mind me filming because he can't hear me. Anyway, so we find out that in the Baroque works, the closer your code name is to Zero, who is the code, which is the code name of the guy who's running everything, the more powerful that you are, the higher up in rank you are in the Baroque works. We find out about another fruit, the Kilo fruit, which she can change her weight however she would like to weigh 1 kilo to 10,000 kilos. And I thought it was so funny that now is the second time, maybe there's more. Now is the second time that we see one of our crew members absolutely destroy someone powerful very quickly out of sight. So the first mention of this is when Zoro is in Arlong Park and then beats up all the fishermen like it's nothing. But we don't see it. We just see him and we see all the fishermen on the ground. So then we see Luffy and he comes out of this building dragging Mr. Five, and we don't see how he fought him. We just see that, like, this man's done. Like, it's over for him. And I do love that we see that he defeats someone who also has one of the devil fruits, but it happened out of sight. And so we're just kind of getting little crumbs of how powerful our crew really is. Then we see a little detail that I think is kind of interesting that I definitely would like to see more of, maybe, you know, hypothesize about, is that Zoro putting on his bandana, or I think it's a bandana. I thought it was a do-rag at first, only because I'm not reading the manga in color, but I think it is a bandana. Maybe it is something else. Just let me know in the comments. But as a symbol of him getting serious and maybe starting to do his real fighting because of what he said when he put on the bandana. And I thought it was interesting because when we first saw him, he was wearing it as well. But once he kind of became a part of the crew, he took it off. So I'm really interested to see what's going on about that. Luffy, being dumb and dense as usual, starts a fight with Zoro, trying to kill him. And I thought it was hilarious that Mr. Five and Miss Valentine are, you know, coming up like, come on guys, like, we, like, whatever, like, trying to kill them. And Zoro and Luffy both turn around at the same time and say, shut up, you're interrupting our fight. And you see them flying off in the next panel and just absolutely demolish them without even thinking about it. And I thought that was hilarious. So then we find out our second out of the 7 warlords of the sea, which is Sir Crocodile. And the first one we met was Arlong, and he was defeated kind of easily, though I heard that from you guys that it is a common thing to think that the fight with Arlong was pretty easy comparatively to some other fights that we've seen so far. Also, I just forgot, even though I just read this, they blew up Irigami. That also made me emotional because I was like, what? But we haven't seen him. So I am going to hold on to hope that he may still be around. Then we meet Miss All Sunday, who must be one of the very, very powerful. I don't know. I don't get the All Sunday thing, but maybe that's a translating thing. Because the women are days of the week, and holidays from what it seems. So, and then we also meet Bunchy, which I guess is her little turtle guy who has a little cowboy hat on. It's very cute. I will say she looks absolutely terrifying because of her eyes, like her pupils being gigantic and then the small like white rim around them. She looks terrifying. And I can only assume that she looks even scarier in colored version or in the anime. But I thought it was very interesting the way she came in and she was like, hey, I'll help you guys. But was she really going to help them? And then she tells them the next place where they're going to go, which is Little Garden, which, as I saw from the panel, it's not a little garden. It is going to be quite gigantic with gigantic animals. But yeah, that is basically the 2 arcs that I just read. I know that today's a bit shorter of a video, or, you know, that I read a little bit less than maybe anticipated, but I am a detailed girl. I love to tell everybody the details and everything about everything that I thought, and even then I know that I will be missing something, so please do tell me anything that I missed, anything that you would like to talk to me in the comments about up until this point, and anything else. Thank you to those who did go to my live stream recently. I would love to do another live stream. It was a Game of Thrones live stream, so I know that not everyone is going to be interested in that, though I have seen a lot of people say that their favorite fantasies are One Piece and Game of Thrones / A Song of Ice and Fire, which I thought was very interesting that those two would be seen in the same sentence as a favorite. It makes sense somehow, though. Anyway, because I definitely enjoy both of them. So what else do I have for you guys today? I am also reading Malice right now, and I really hope that next video I make, I will finish Malice, but who knows, because I will be moving very, very soon to, I'm moving across country, and I have been helping take care of people. A lot of my friends are going through a lot of things, and so I've just been trying to be here and help them out and, you know, do everything I can for them, while also trying to take care of myself and my 3 cats and the house and my husband and everything like that. So thank you guys so much for joining me here today. Like I said, let's just talk about it in the comments. And yeah, I really enjoyed making today's video, and I really enjoyed the beginning of the Alabasta Saga. So I will see you guys very soon. God bless.